Today I'm going to be doing two birds with one stone review. They're both from Nhaler, and so might as well put them both together and do a review on them. Okay, it's going to be the Aspire ViVi Nova BDC and the 900 milliamp hour twist type variable voltage Beretta semi-automatic. Okay. The way this battery works is it's just like a twist at the bottom where it just shows the number of volts with a dot in increments. Okay, it goes 3.3, 3.8, 3 or 4.3 rather, 4.8. Okay, and so it goes from 3.3 to 4.8. And the difference between this one and the twist is that this one here has knurling, therefore making it easier to twist around. Okay, this is a very handsome looking stainless steel battery. As far as Ego type of batteries go, this does have its differences. This does not have Ego connections. So if you're going to use things with Ego connections, you're going to have an adapter for that. Okay. So right here is a iClear 16 with an adapter already in it. So to give you an idea, it's a nice long battery, but it's thin. It reminds me of those well-to-do folks that had those tar reducer things on their cigarettes that made them really long. That's kind of like what this reminds me of. It feels elegant in the hand. It's not really heavy. It's just all around comfortable, but it is a little bit different in regards to things like this. But as far as Egos go, it's pretty much right in the same ballpark. Okay, but it is really long. This is a 1100 amp, and this is a 900 amp right here beside it. So as you can see, the 900. I said amp. The 900 milliamp hour battery is quite long. Okay. So it's really easy to adjust. You're basically guessing on a lot of the voltage. If something seems too hot, turn it down a little bit until you get to where you're comfortable. Okay, most people will start all the way down and then turn it up as they need it. There's no on-off switch. It just stays on all the time. Okay, there is a little bit of area around the edge where you can see some color. The color is always going to be green, at least on this one. Okay, when you push the button, there's a little bit of green. Okay, when you push the button 5 times repeatedly, it'll flash green. That will indicate that it switched modes, and this is where the semi-automatic comes in, and also another unique feature on the Beretta semi-automatic variable voltage. Now it's an automatic. That means that you don't have to push any buttons to get it to fire. You just pull through and it turns on and activates power. However, to be honest with you, in automatic mode, it doesn't seem like you're vaping near as well as, you're not getting as much power as if you are using the manual switch. So let's go back. Well, actually, let me just use the same thing and I'll show you. So there, as you can see, there's quite a bit more vapor there when you're using the switch. Now, one thing I want to point out to everybody, the voltage settings are pretty much just all over the place. When you put a meter on here, it just it doesn't stay consistent with what it's supposed to be set at. So right now I've got it set to 4.3 volts. I'm going to push it and it says 4.5 volts. Okay. So you turn it down to 3.8 volts and it's pretty close. It's 3.75. I'm just kind of hopscotching around here. 4.8 volts says 5.0. The next time it says 5.3. This time it says 5.0. And this time it says 5.7. So there is some fluctuation there, and it's a lot of fluctuation. I can't say that I really like that or that I would approve of that. But who am I to say, right? All the way down to 3.3, it's actually coming up as 3.18 the first time. 3.18 again. Okay, so that's staying consistent. I'll try one more time at 3.8 and see what we get. 3.99. 3.81. 3.81 again. 3.87. So it jumps around. I'm not so sure I can say that I like that. But that's going to do it on the review of the Beretta ViVi semi-automatic. Do I like it? I really do like it. I like it even though there is some voltage fluctuation there. It's not the end of the world, you know. Alright, so on to the anticipated Aspire ViVi Nova tank. This is a bottom-fed dual coil ViVi Nova, okay? You can use all the old ViVi Nova tanks. They thread right up to it. They're the right size. You can use those metal ones if you want to use them, okay, which is pretty cool. I will have to update on this part of the review because I realized that the metal tank will fit on here, and I have a metal tank, so which is right there. So I was going to stay away from juices that fog or crack tanks because of the fact that I didn't want to ruin the device because it was performing so well. But now that I know that this will fit on there, no problem. I've got 3 other ViVi Nova tanks, and I can get along just fine with something that doesn't say Aspire on it. Okay, no big deal. So I'm using the Aspire tank. I've got some root beer juice in there, and it's been in there. I had half a tank the first time, and this is another full tank. So it's been in there for probably, I'd say, about 6 or 7 hours, and I haven't gotten any discoloration in the tank in any way whatsoever. It seems to be holding up really well, so I don't think that this is going to be a tank that's going to crack. However, with the root beer, it always had tended to take a little bit longer to crack a tank. So I'm going to be using nothing but root beer in here until it's gone, which looks like that'll probably be about 3 days. So 3 days will be plenty of time. Most generally it'll only take about 24 hours to see some haze in there, and then 3 days it would actually crack. So we've got enough to make that possible to see if it's going to crack the tank, okay? But never fear. Go somewhere that has a metal tank you can buy just in case. The metal tanks aren't that much money. The heads on these things are a little bit pricey. However, they are not super easy heads to manufacture, okay? You can tell just by looking at it without even getting in there and taking it apart that it is something that they spend a lot of time in designing and manufacturing, okay? How does it perform? It performs pretty darn good, especially in the beginning. This one in particular, I only got one head with this, okay? So this head performed really well out of the box. I was loving this thing. Better than the iClears, better than the old ViVi Nova. It was just running circles around everything. The taste was really good. As far as taste is concerned, 1 out of 10. I would give the taste an 8. Vapor production, for what it is, I will give it a 9. However, there has been some times where there's been some fluctuation in the performance. Okay, twice I've had juice come out at the connector. Okay, the first time was just basically my fault, because the way this thing works, you have to turn it upside down to fill it. You've got to unscrew this, and there's a rubber piece in there and a metal stem, and that metal stem it does not go all the way up to the top of the tank. So basically this is the furthest that you can fill this thing up safely, and that's what I learned the hard way. Okay, I filled it up a little bit too much and it came down through the center channel and then caused a bunch of flooding throughout. So there's just two small holes in the bottom of this, and it's not meant to be flooded with juice inside there. It will come through the connector, but over normal vaping, I'd say by the 2 tanks after that, so it wasn't residual liquid that was in there after I cleaned it out, it was quite a while later, it actually started dripping back through there, and that was because I had it sitting like this for almost a day because I was using something else. Okay, and so I would recommend keeping this either straight up or upside down. Okay, it has the inherent bottom coil issues. Sometimes when you go to pick it up, it might seem a little bit flooded, which is the same way that every bottom coil atomizer, clearomizer, cartomizer, or whatever you want to call them, has ever done me. The MT3s, MT3S, MT2s or T2s, whatever they're called. I've had those, and the EVOD, there's probably 1 or 2 more that I'm leaving out. I'm sorry for that, but they all seem to flood out if you leave them for too long. Okay, so it's best to basically fill the tank up, vape all that out, and then whenever it pretty much dries out, leave it like it is, and turn it upside down, and then whenever you get ready to go refill it, then turn it up, and you should be good to go. You shouldn't have any problem with flooding. Don't get me wrong, it's not a whole lot of flooding. It only happened the one time really at the fault of the atomizer. But what worries me is that it could happen more with somebody that's using a lower VG juice. I have 70% VG in here, okay, which I would think with those 2 small holes it would have trouble wicking, but it actually doesn't have any trouble wicking. I've never gotten a dry hit out of this unless it was too high, the heat was too high. I've never really had too much flooding, so it just seems like a good all-around tank system. I will say that it's basically kind of just like Phil Basardo's review. You know, obviously I'm not as pretty as him, I don't do as good of reviews as him, and I won't even try to act like I can, but it's really nice, but it's not perfect. Okay, that's just the way it is. But if you want the next big thing and something that's simple that you can fill up and pretty much not have to worry about for the entire day, then you can go ahead and pick this thing up. The heads on this thing are a little bit expensive, $13 for 5 heads, but it's worth every penny if long as they perform the way that this one's been performing for me. Okay, so I mean, it's not foolproof, but it's decent. You know, it's better than what we've had. Basically, it's better than what. So that's gonna do it for the review on the Aspire ViVi Nova BDC. If you're feeling froggy, jump.